Hi guys, so in this video I'll be teaching you how to cut palazzo trouser using 3 yards of Ankara fabric. Welcome back to my channel. So the first thing you're going to do is to properly fold, and this 3 yards I'll be folding it into 2. You will see what I'm doing. So I'll fold it this way. This helps you to minimize the waste, okay, so that you don't waste the fabric. So I'll start from this particular end, and the next thing I'm going to do is to create a borderline, because most times that part might not be straight, so you create your own straight border line. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 18, and I'm measuring 18 because I'm making this palazzo for someone who is extremely on the big side. But for the sake of your own palazzo, please use 15. For a UK size 10 to a UK size 16, you have to use 15. But my client is on a big side. I think she's a UK size 18. So that's why I'm measuring 18. But for the sake of your palazzo, so that is not going to be obsessively wide or too large, please use 15. Okay, this is for clients. I hope we got that right. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark out my 18. I already marked 18 from the top to the down, and I will mark 8 all the way. Now I'm going to create the crotch. Now for my crotch, I'll be using 12. All right, but I'll first of all mark 2 inches for the space of my crotch. So here I'm creating the upper border line so that I can have a definite line. So I'll be creating for my crotch line, I'll be marking 12. Now because my client is on the big side, that's why I'm using 12. But if you're working from a UK size 10 to a UK 16, you can use 11 and a half. But at the same time, your crotch line needs to be longer rather than being short, because you don't want whereby the palazzo is big and then the crotch is tight. Okay, so you use 11, but if the person is actually on the big side, you use 12 and a half. You rather have your crotch way longer than as opposed to being short. Now I hope you understand that. Now I'm going to go by, I'll cut what I have marked, and that simply will be the front. Very simple. Now I'm going to go ahead to now mark the back. So for the back, I will place the front panel just the same way I'm doing it. I'm going to drag it slightly down. You could see that there is a 1 inch space here because I drag the front panel slightly down just to create this 1 inch. I'm going to connect it all the way to that plate. That's to the other side. This 1 inch allows the trouser at the back to sit well so that your bum does not drag it down. I extended my hip measurement, which is 9, and also the crotch I'm extending. This is the hip. Then I extended all the lines that is necessary. So on this hip, I'm going to mark 2.5. I'm going to mark 1 inch here, and on this crotch line I'm going to come down by 0.75. all right, and you understand why I'm coming down there. This enables your crotch line to form very well with the front. I come down by 0.75, and then from there I'm going to mark my 3 inches. I hope this is very is well understood. So now I'm going to connect my lines. I'll connect these 3 inches to this 2.5, and then to the 1 inch at the top part. So this is what I'm doing. Very simple. If you have your curve ruler, you can use your curve ruler. If you don't have your curve ruler, it's something you can also achieve using your hand. All you just have to do is to trace your marking just the same way I'm doing it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is from this 3 inches at the crotch area, I'm going to extend it to the base of my trouser, and at that base I marked 1.5. So from that 3 inches, connect it to the base. Okay, and then I'm going to cut. Remember, iron. Please make sure that you iron at every step of the way. You iron, you notch. The notching helps you greatly to guide you when you're joining. Now for the front panel, I'm going to reduce the upper part by 1 inch, and this is just what I'm doing. This is very simple to understand. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to now mark 6.5. This part, you notch it when you're sewing. If you watch my previous video on how to join your trouser, you understand when you're sewing, at that point you can increase your hand. Now at this point I've turned it and I'm going to trim it to be equal, because remember I reduced the front panel when I was cutting it. I drew it down so that I could get the upper part, if you remember what we were doing. Now for this part, I'm going to show you how to cut pockets. So I did 1.5 inch to 6.5, and I'm going to use my curved ruler to trace what I have marked, curved it for my pocket. So this is my pocket, 1.5 at the top and 6.5. That's what I measure. So 6.5 for the length, 1.5 for the width. Now that is how you cut your palazzo. The next thing I'm going to now do is to cut my pocket for this palazzo. And for my pocket, you could watch what I'm doing. This is the remnant from my fabric. I measured 10 to 11. So my width is 10. That's the width of our pocket will be 10, and the length of our pocket I marked 13 actually. I marked 13, but you can mark from 12, 13. All right, but actually what I'm looking for is 12, but I marked 13 so that I don't run shortage while I'm cutting and trimming. Now this is 10 by 13. Okay, now you could see how it is. If you fold it, it's going to give you 4, right? So this is 4. One part is folded, one part is not folded. I'm going to place the front panel of my trouser where I have trimmed out the pocket, and then I'm going to place it this way. The next thing I'm going to do is make sure you set it very well. All right, as I finish setting it, I'm going to first trim off the curve here. Very simple. And then bring back that pieces that I cut out from that pocket, place it back, and then cut. You will see what I'm doing. Make sure that I cut. That pieces helps me to get the shape of what I have removed before. Now I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, but then I'm going to pick only the 2. Okay, the remaining 2 at the down. So I'm going to the 2, I'm cutting exactly the shape of that pocket curve, just on the 2, right? I hope you understand. Now from that point now of the curve, I'm going to mark 3 inches here. I'll reduce it by 1.5, and I'm going to trim. This trimming allows your pocket to stand independent when you're wearing it, so that it doesn't drag your sewing by the side, so that when you wear your trouser, your pocket sits comfortably. Now by this, you mark 3 inches and then you trim it all the way to that point. Okay, you can decide to give it the shape that you want to give it, and this is the shape I want to give mine. Now I'm going to notch, make sure that I notch and still reshaped my pocket. Now this is solely determinant on you and the shape you want to give your trouser, and that is how you do your pocket. Okay, the next and the final thing is showing you how to work your band. Now for this palazzo band, we'll be using 2 inches elastic band. Okay, and then I'm going to show you the process it takes to work your band. So the first thing you're going to do is, since we are using 2 inches elastic, I'm going to mark 2.5. The half is for the sewing, and once you're done cutting that, that's how you get your palazzo trouser, your band, and your pocket. Very simple. Let me know if you have any question in the comment section and I will answer you. Bye.